Welcome to the Trail Running Briefing, the podcast for trail runners who want to understand their training and run better. Each week, one clear idea to help you train smarter, stay durable, and perform when it matters. Episode 14. Hydration isn't just water. The sodium mistake that breaks long runs. Ever had a run where you were drinking but still felt flat, heavy, thirsty, or cramp-prone? A lot of runners think hydration just means drink more water, but on long runs, especially in warm or hot conditions, that is often only half the job. Sweat does not just take water away. It also takes sodium and other electrolytes, but this one is one of the most important ones, yes? And when water goes back in without enough sodium, things can start to unravel. Sweat losses vary a lot between athletes, and sodium losses can be substantial, especially for heavier sweaters or salty sweaters. The core idea is simple. Hydration is not just replacing fluid. It is replacing enough fluid and enough sodium to stay functional. That does not mean every run needs an electrolyte strategy. For shorter or easier runs, plain water may be enough, but as duration, heat, sweat rate, and intensity go up, sodium starts to matter more. Major sports hydration guidance recommends drinking enough during exercise to avoid excessive dehydration, while also avoiding overdrinking and body mass gain. A practical target often used is to keep body mass loss from getting much beyond about 2%, while recognizing that individual tolerance differs. Why sodium? Because sodium helps maintain fluid balance and helps the body retain the fluid you drink. It also replaces part of what is lost in sweat. Sweat sodium concentration varies widely between athletes, which is why one runner can get away with very little sodium while another ends a long run with salt marks all over their kit. When runners say, "I drank loads but I still felt awful," sometimes the issue is not just the amount they drank. Sometimes the drink was too dilute for the conditions and the sweat loss. This is especially relevant in trail and ultra running, where exercise lasts long enough for small mistakes to become big ones. Guidance for athletes commonly suggests that sodium should be included when sweat losses are high and exercise is prolonged, especially in the heat. Let's revise a practical application. You go out for a 2.5 hours run. It is warmer than expected. You drink plenty of water. For the first hour, everything feels fine. Then your pace starts drifting. You feel a bit slushy, maybe a bit headachy, maybe strangely thirsty despite drinking. Your legs feel less responsive. That does not automatically mean sodium is the problem, but it is one possibility, especially if you are a salty sweater or the day is warm. What do people usually get wrong? First, they use the same hydration plan in every condition, but fluid and sodium need rise when heat, humidity, duration, clothing load, and sweat rate rise. Second, they assume more water is always better. It is not. Overdrinking can be a problem, and hydration guidance is very clear that the goal is to avoid both excessive dehydration and excessive fluid intake. Third, they copy someone else's numbers. Sweat rate and sodium losses are highly individual. That is why generalized recommendations are only starting points. So what should runners do instead? Start with a simple framework for long runs, especially beyond about 90 minutes. In cool or rainy conditions, many runners may do well toward the lower end of fluid intake. In hotter conditions, needs often move upward. A broad practical range often used in sports nutrition is around 400 to 800 milliliters of fluid per hour, adjusted for conditions and the athlete. For sodium, a practical starting point for many endurance athletes is often somewhere around 300 to 700 milligrams per hour, with higher needs in hotter conditions, longer sessions, or for salty sweaters. Some heavy or salty sweaters may need more. According to public guidance, athletes who sweat heavily can lose roughly 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium in an hour of vigorous exercise. Then test it. Weigh yourself before and after a key long run. Track how much you drank and notice how you felt. Roughly speaking, 1 kilogram of body mass loss is about a liter of fluid loss. That is not perfect, but it is a useful field method. Also look for clues. Salt marks on clothing, strong thirst, a big fade late in the run, bloating from lots of plain water, or a consistent drop in body weight after sessions in heat. The goal is not perfection. The goal is a plan that is good enough, repeatable, and tested in training. One takeaway, here is the line to remember. On long runs, don't just replace what you drink, replace what you sweat. That's today's trail running briefing. Understand your training, apply it on the trail, and run better.